Hello friends, well we're going to see if this works, and welcome to this week's vlog. Today has been manic at best, but beautifully so. So I am here today at the Ritz Carlton Orlando Grand Lakes, as they have so graciously hosted myself, my associate Jessica, and some wedding planner colleagues of mine, and we are here for what they call a wedding planner fam. And so we've had a lovely day today at the spa and the spa pool. So now I find myself, of course, in this frenzy trying to make the cocktail hour that they've invited us to, but I wanted to take you along. So they have just recently renovated all of the ballrooms here, and I look forward to showing you that. We actually have a New Year's Eve wedding coming here for Cara and Taylor. These are newly renovated ballrooms, so they're going to unveil that to us and also very graciously show their appreciation to us for just sort of the reciprocity that we show each other with sharing our clients with them and them sharing their guests with us. I hope to show you the unveiling of the ballrooms. Sadly, I wish I could have shared my spa experience, but it is a quiet place. But maybe I'll show you around the property a little bit more soon to come. But yeah, welcome to a new week on the vlog.
One of the ladies gets on, she's like, John, I want to let you know that we're going to be moving your hotel from a 4-star rated hotel to a 5-star rated hotel.
Ooh.
And one of only 75 in North America, and no other 5-star hotels, Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotels in Central Florida. And this has been a journey we've been on for the last 10 years. And I know for most consumers, they're like, well, yeah, there's plenty of 5-star hotels out there. Well, that's self-pronounced 5-star hotels. Actually, to do the work, there's 500 standards that our ladies and gentlemen must master.
Friends. Well, as it tends to turn out when I attend sort of these industry fams or cocktail parties or any type of a special event where there is an agenda and sort of call to action involved, and truthfully, where my presence is requested, I tend to not document as I hope to. My intention is always to be more comprehensive and show you more. It's just that I get caught up in the program and the itinerary that they're giving us. Plus, when we get down there and we see everybody, of course I'm mingling and, quite frankly, enjoying myself. But what was so special about the Ritz Carlton event is that I saw the news just before the event. But then, as you saw in the clip, Mr. McGavin, who is the general manager for the Ritz Carlton Orlando Grand Lakes, is that the Ritz Carlton was just awarded a 5-star Forbes recognition. And this, I think, entails something like 500 checkpoints that have to be checked off for them to achieve this. I mean, down to the soap they use in the guest rooms, to like the most detailed of details, like minutia of details. So I was just busting my buttons for them, because this is a brand that I've really aligned myself with so closely for about 20 years. And even as I was sort of leaving that program, Mr. McGavin pulled me aside and he's like, you sort of have been here with us since the beginning, huh? So they're just a little over 20 years old. And I think I did my first wedding there 20 years ago, which is just wild to think about. But it was spectacular. They have had an entire renovation of their ballrooms and the pre-function spaces, and it was so lovely. We enjoyed an afternoon at the spa and the spa pool, and it was so nice to have that downtime with some of my colleagues before the event, and it was wonderful catching up. We're kind of off the holidays still, so we hadn't really seen each other, and it was very nice to catch up. It is Sunday, and so it is a really beautiful day out. I feel like I'm finally seeing glimmers of spring, and so I'm off to do some errands. My new life hack is that I know I'm probably late to the game here, but I now put in curbside pickup. So I have a rather large order that I started this morning while I was having my Rise coffee with Target. So I just kind of pull up into that spot and they put it in there. I find A, it's more efficient, and B, I spend less money. And that's a win, especially with everything we're doing with the house. And speaking of the house, I will give you an update on that, which I am affectionately calling the junkyard backyard. I mean, those renovations have started and my nervous system is in overdrive. Let's just say that. But back really quickly to the Ritz Carlton event. So that got me to thinking about dress codes. So I have been putting several posts up on Instagram of late with dress codes, mainly for weddings. That's clearly mainly what I do, but this is applicable to sort of any sort of special event you're invited to. And I love my friends over at the Ritz Carlton, but I cannot tell you how many calls and texts and DMs I received from my fellow wedding planners that had been invited asking me to decode the dress code. So the dress code on the invitation was comfortable cocktail attire. So I'm here to lovingly say that's not a thing. It's just not a clearly defined dress code. So I thought that later on in this video, I want to sit down after I put around the house. I do have some gardening to do and everything. I thought that I would debunk, at least in this video, cocktail attire. I feel like that's the one we see the most, or that's the one that we are invited to the most. So I thought I would break that down for you, and then we'll see if you guys like some more of that. Let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to address other dress codes in a future video. But for now, on deck is my Target pickup order. I have 2 sourdough starters resting, so hopefully I can make dough out of that, let that rest overnight, bake in the morning. What I've been doing lately is I like to bake a loaf for myself and Mr. Lyons, and then I make a loaf for him to bring to the office because they love it over there and I love to do it for them. Also, I'm just about done. I started growing some broccoli sprouts, so those are ready to harvest and I'll have those for the week. So I want to try to set myself up for success for the week. So that's what this Sunday reset is all about. Mr. Lyons is out of town this weekend. It's been a really quiet weekend because our internet line was cut for the second time this week. That was cut on Friday while I was in the middle of a Zoom meeting. Super fun. And we're still out. I can't quite understand how in the year 2026 I'm 48 hours without internet, but it's been rather lovely, if I can talk candidly between you and me. It's been nice to sort of have an analog weekend. I've been reading a bit, just kind of hanging out with the pups. Again, Mr. Lyons is on a golf tournament trip in the Dominican Republic with some other members from his Michigan club up in Traverse City. So he's having a wonderful time. I have one more day and night of quiet. He comes in very late this evening, so I intend to make the very most of it. So let's get going. Okay, well, I'm done with my Target curbside pickup order, and I went to Publix, which is our local grocery store here, and I've gotten some healthy ingredients to set up myself and Mr. Lyons for a healthy week ahead. And so I'm in a really good place now to speak to you about what I wanted to from the very beginning, which is debunking cocktail attire. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I was invited to the Ritz Carlton for an upscale gathering, and the dress code was comfortable cocktail attire, and I'll show you what I put together for that. But comfortable cocktail attire is not really a thing, but cocktail attire falls into this more festive dress code. It is just underneath formal and certainly underneath black tie. But the good news is that this is for more festive gatherings, which means both men and women can play a little bit more with color, patterns, and embellishments. And I'll post up a graphic right here from an Instagram post I made a couple of weeks ago explaining the very same thing. Okay, ladies, so for cocktail hour, you can pick or select a knee length or a little bit longer. I like to go knee length to T length when I choose for cocktail hour dresses or dress separates. You can even do a jumpsuit if it's like in a satin or a velvet, or even a pantsuit, and I can show you an example of that as well. But I will pop up this example here as well of a woman who was dressed impeccably for definitely cocktail hour attire for an engagement party we planned for a client a couple of years ago. So you'll see here that she has this beautiful black T-length cocktail dress. She's dressed it up with some beautiful heels, and as an accessory you may want to choose a handbag or a clutch. Ladies and gentlemen, another clue when you're trying to discern a dress code is to, one, look at the invitation. Does the invitation deem a certain dress code? Even if it says cocktail attire, is it an elevated invitation? Is it a paper invitation? How thick is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? If it's an electronic invitation, does it have flourishes? I know this is a thing now. I'm still trying to accept the electronic invitation era. I have a little more ways to go as far as that goes. If it is an electronic invitation and you are hosting a cocktail party, by all means, please put the attire on there. It's a little bit more difficult to discern the attire when you're looking at something from your computer screen. So the other thing to look at is the venue. So with this particular venue, I was invited to the Ritz Carlton. I know that in and of itself, the Ritz Carlton deems a more elevated attire. And of course, they did outline the attire there for us in the invitation as well. Now, in the example of the cocktail party I just mentioned, where we just saw that gorgeous woman, this was hosted at the bride's home. Now, obviously, if you are friends or family of this guest, you know the home. The home was exquisite. Also, we sent out letterpress invitations, which that alone dictates that we had some expectations there for the gentleman. And I certainly hope there are some gentlemen here watching this video. And if not, ladies, these might serve as some lovely suggestions for your male partners. Now, for cocktail hour for the gentleman, a suit is required. Now, a suit can be a light colored suit or it can be a dark colored suit, but this is typically dictated by the season. Now, a light colored suit would be worn during the warmer seasons in the warmer climate and months, or of course that's destination. So it could be winter, but you may be in Mexico where it's warmer, thereby a lighter color suit would be more than appropriate. And then there's of course a dark colored suit, which would be worn in the colder months. Now as well, dress shirt, dress shoes, and yes, ties are required. Do you want to see what I wore? Now, before I reveal my outfit, I do want to say I understand the premise behind, or the motive behind, the Ritz Carlton calling this comfortable cocktail attire. You may have recalled that I mentioned that preceding this cocktail hour and this elevated extravaganza, this beautiful evening that we were able to experience, they were gracious enough to treat us all to a lovely, decadent day at the spa. So knowing now where we were in the pre-function space and the ballroom of their newly renovated ballroom, and the whole idea was to reveal everything. So that deems a cocktail hour attire in and of itself. I truly believe that I think they wanted us to be so relaxed. We were already so relaxed and having such a good time. It was so lovely to exhale that they wanted us to arrive comfortable, but of course, dressed for the occasion. I feel like I just debunked that dress code. But what I did is, keeping the comfort in mind, the way I translated it was this way. So you can see here I played with color, texture, and pattern. So this is a jacquard fabric. It's got a lovely pattern here. I don't know if you can see, but I'll go up close in a minute. And I did choose open toe, sorry for getting so close, shoes. So these gold ones here match quite lovely. It's a kitten heel, so it's very comfortable to wear. And these I got a couple of years ago. These I got at Dillard's, which is local to us here in Florida. And it was a collaboration that the beautiful Stephanie with the Style Bungalow had with Antonio Milani. And I pretty much bought the entire collection. So when I do black tie with all of you in the future, I will show you a beautiful black tie option that is so versatile and so comfortable that that Stephanie did that I'm still not over it. It's so beautiful. So I'm putting on the shoes here, and I also went ahead and I used this black clutch over there. It's so fun doing this in my office with 4 dogs around me. Yeah. You see I have a peplum top here. Quite comfortable, very comfortable, and very flattering, I feel like. And has a kind of high-waisted pant here with pockets, which is so lovely. And it is more of a flare, and back in the day, they would call this a cigarette pant. And you'll see here with the shoes, it goes quite well. It was warm enough, but certainly I had a backup plan in case it got cold, because this outfit is not done. Let me show you something real quick here. So the outfit has this coordinating cropped jacket, which is so precious. I haven't had an opportunity to wear this outfit with the jacket very often because I made an investment, let's just say that. So after I looked at the receipt and promptly threw it away, I was committed to wearing this outfit many times, and Jessica jokes with me all the time because I actually have gotten my money's worth. But you can see here, there's a nice brushed gold button. So sweet, and now you're getting a close-up of the fabric and the texture. Now I could also have just taken off this top with the peplum detail here off and just kind of worn it. The way you can see it here is just like this, and I could have put like a silk tank underneath or something like that. So you have some different ways to wear it, but I've worn it mostly this way. Now the reason why is we oftentimes, when we walk into our wedding weekends, we don't just plan a wedding day for our clients, we plan entire weekends. Our wedding weekends typically start either late Thursday or early Fridays, and we're setting up, and so we oftentimes have welcome parties after a rehearsal dinner. And so what the welcome party does is it pretty much invites anyone and everyone that's on the guest list to enjoy. And our welcome parties for our clients tend to be cocktail parties. So because I'm working, I love this because of the pockets, and I don't have to carry around a handbag all the time, and I can keep my phone in here. I always keep earbuds in here so I can communicate to my vendors. I can wear flats so I'm comfortable, though I have worked even in the shoes that I just showed you here. And I'm typically at a resort. I think Jessica is now calling this my St. Regis Longboat Key welcome party outfit. I've literally worn it for every single welcome party that we've done there. And you know what? We're doing a wedding there on March 14th. And guess what I'm wearing? So Elizabeth, if you're watching this is the outfit I'm wearing to your welcome party. In all seriousness, I was very comfortable. I felt very appropriate, not underdressed, not overdressed. I feel like I nailed it. I got this outfit in a boutique in Winter Park a couple of years ago, which has since closed. I'm so sad about it. It was called The Grove, but the label here is called Flora B, B-E-A. It's a boutique out of New York City, but of course, and they kind of specialize in that mid-century kind of va-va-voom stuff, and I just love it. So I will link Flora B below, but I feel like I could actually spend the rest of the day in this, but alas, there is gardening to be done, and oh my gosh, I just forgot. I started 2 sourdoughs, and I put it in the greenhouse to sort of accelerate the rising because it's been a little bit cooler. It's time to get to that. Let's transition over to that now. I've had a little bit of an outfit change. This is my gardening dress. I love it so much. Honestly, I should order just a few more of these because even when I'm not gardening, they're just so comfortable to hang around the house in. And the weather has warmed up again, thank goodness. I feel like this has been such a long winter, even for us here in Florida. We had a couple of freezes, so my garden went to kaput. So I am going to spend the latter part of this afternoon getting the garden back in shape. And I also promised to show you an update of our junkyard backyard. Now, I do want to share updates with you on this every week because I feel like already just in 1 week, a lot of things have changed, as in it's even uglier. But I just know better things are to come. So let me take you for a little spin here around the backyard. And fun plot twist, as our irrigation crew was here this week, in the latter part of this Thursday and Friday, they started completely demolishing the house behind me, and we didn't even know that it was for sale. So we've got that commotion going on behind us as well, but I'm sure something beautiful will be back there, and quite frankly, I'm grateful because one of their larger palm trees just completely got brown from the freeze, and that's been removed, so we don't have to look at that anymore. So let me stop yapping and let me show you the backyard. I wish you could have just seen poor Billy trying to do his business. So here he comes running. He thinks it's dinner time. But it's hard for them to get, at least for him, he's the smallest one, to get over. Little man is hungry. Stand by. Well, Operation Junkyard Backyard Glow Up has commenced. Let me show you around our little slice of paradise. So we've had pavers put in over here and over here. This is where we will keep our trash bins. This is where they were before, but remember all of the rock that we had, and remember all of the rock going here. So the improvement is we now have a sidewalk path. This will ultimately be turf. They've been at this for 3 days. I'm kind of ready to just have some peace and quiet, but I'm also extremely excited for our results. We now have, I'll have some, again, the turf will be here, but I'll have some hard surface here for when I'm tending to the kitchen garden, as well as they've dug out an area right here in front of the greenhouse. Sadly, I lost my bougainvillea in the process, and also to the freeze. So it will go in there, and this path here will all be paved for me. I'm going to keep this rock because it'll be great for drainage. These are my tomato seedlings that are doing quite well. The ones that Tracy's husband gave me. These are the Florida 90 ones. And then these are peppers. I took those from seed from a pepper I had in my kitchen, and so it's worked out great. And of course, the blossoms here from my lemon tree and the lime tree. This part of the backyard is still quite the junkyard. Let me take you to what we're going to have as the fire pit. Okay, recall all of these pavers are being pulled up. I used to call this our like seaplane landing strip. So that is being pulled up, and it will be put over. Oh, they've actually extended it already for Mr. Lion's cooking area over there. Oh, let's see. What are you doing over there, sir? Billy, out of all of them, has been the most disjointed from this entire process. He doesn't know what is going on. The dogs, poor dogs, have been cooped up inside for the last few days. Come on, did you get stuck? Stand by. I've got to go rescue a beagle. Beagle has been rescued. When we first saw this outlined yesterday, we thought maybe the fire pit was a little too small, but it's actually fine. Rarely will we have 20 people over to sit around a fire, but you never know. With Mr. Lyons, oftentimes 20 people are invited over at any given time. This is the outline for where we want the fire pit. He was talking about we're trying to space it out with chairs to see what it would look like and feel like. We were talking about Adirondack chairs, but I feel like it will look just too basic with all Adirondack chairs around it. So I kind of want like a curved bench or sofa of sorts. We'll see. We're still fleshing that part out. The saddest part of everything that's been happening here in Florida this winter, which was the freeze. Look, I mean, this was all coming up anyway, but look how dead everything is from the cold weather that we had in the freeze. Our vegetation is just not built for that. Our neighbor's palm tree is fried. It's just everywhere you drive around here is crispy. It's very sad. There was, believe it or not, no irrigation in this backyard before. I don't think at all, because all of these lines are new. And recall, all of these pavers were here, got pulled up. And even though we had to get new pavers for something I'll show you over here, they were put over here and extended to give Mr. Lyons more of like sort of an outdoor kitchen. All of his barbecue gear is here, the green egg, the 2 smokers and everything. Soon we will put a facade there so we don't see the aircon unit. This was all rocks, so it's still rocks over there, but this was all rocks, and it just feels so nice to have a level surface over here. Billy wants you to know it's almost dinner time. In this entire process, I don't know, between them and whatever other contractor, our internet line has been cut twice. So I am now on 48 hours, no internet. So it's not been fun working from a hotspot, but we've been making do. So this is what's so funny. Again, that's a pretty deep trench right there. So I don't know how my little legged man is making it over here to go potty. But then we had this fire pit built, so that's nice. The chairs are kind of spaced out there so that we can try to configure. We ordered some new chairs to go here. We were trying to figure out if we needed 4 or 6. So I think we went with 6. Another update is we had a landscape architect come this week, and that was very inspiring. So I cannot wait to receive those plans over there. Here are all the irrigation lines. We cut the hose going into my greenhouse because they said they could just do a direct line right inside. Honestly, that makes the most sense. All of this irrigation still has to get set. I lost everything in the freeze, so I'm starting to replenish, and I'm going to give myself some grace here. Not everything is from seed. Nearly anything from seed is in the greenhouse. I've gotten some additional tomato plants, a couple of pepper plants. I have some more things I'm going to put in the ground after I stop this here. We leave for Michigan in May, and I need to yield something. I've just been so restless. I haven't been able to garden since we got back from Michigan in late September because we moved. So now going this way, again, this is that lovely mound of mulch from where that massive tree we had removed the day before Thanksgiving. But also all along here were rocks, but now we have a path. We have a little sidewalk. So we spoke to our landscape architect about possibly putting a pergola, and I think I mentioned that before in another video, and perhaps grow wisteria or something if we are able to. Obviously, we want to work with as many native plants as we can to grow over there to sort of make a beautiful entrance coming in from the side there. So all this to say, this is definitely a work in progress. I hope you'll stay tuned for all of the updates because while it's been chaotic and a little disruptive to my nervous system, I know it works out in the end. It's just gonna, it just has to, right? So take a look at these gorgeous crispy bushes behind me here. That's our master bedroom right there. That's a result of the freeze, but we're not terribly dissatisfied or upset about it. They were getting ripped up anyway with all the landscaping that's coming in. I mentioned to the landscape architect that I wanted to see if we could do climbing roses up here, and when I said that, her eyes lit up, so I think it's possible. The reason why I asked if it was possible because of where we live, and the climate is not the most conducive to sort of the style of garden I want, which is more of a European style or a potager's garden or like an English garden. So I told her that was my goal. My husband's goal is he wants some colorful trees. You know, he wants a tree that has purple blooms. There's a tree here that's in bloom right now all over town, and I'm so jealous. We had it at our home in Winter Park. It's called the Tababua. We had a golden one, and it just these golden tulip blossoms. So we're going to get another one of those, possibly in the front yard. Welcome to our world of chaos. I'm telling you, he wants dinner. I better get to that. My goodness, it is quite bright, but it is in the later afternoon, and I do want to get some things in the garden before I turn in to the house for the rest of the evening, start the sourdough, etc. And I'm wearing my big hat. I had to get one of those big hats finally. I have one of my facials tomorrow with Marcella, my esthetician whom you met in a previous video, and I do not want to get scolded for not wearing a hat while I'm gardening because I do know she watches this channel. And I also, of course, Marcella, I have sunscreen on. So I have some lettuce I'm going to plant in here. I also have some celery. I'm going to put in some cucumber seeds. That'll give me some time to get a trellis running up in the back here because they do love to climb. The other thing I got were some pollinator plants. So before, when I first started gardening, I was just all about the veg. I just wanted to grow veg. I just wanted to see veg growing. But what I've come to realize, and I did so successfully over the summer while gardening in Michigan, is that you need these pollinators or these perennials to help pollinate all of your veg, particularly the cucumbers. I used to have flowers growing on my cucumbers all the time, and it would yield no fruit, it would yield no veg. So I realized that it wasn't pollinating. So this is now going to be a mixed bed of flowers and veg, of course. So there's also marigolds. Marigolds keep the pests away from the tomatoes. And I have, I think it's called lantana, and that's a purple flower. I'll get the name of it later, but those are to attract the bumblebees. So I look forward to seeing bumblebees here soon. I so desperately want my tomatoes to start climbing this beautiful trellis, this arch that Mr. Lyons made for me. I'm going to get cracking because I feel like the sun, though bright right now, is going to move very quickly and set on me. So I've got to get all of this done before I start the sourdough. Salvia. That's what the lavender flowers are called. Salvia. That's what I have in there. Lavender, I hear, is also a wonderful pollinator, and they do have it here in Florida, and I understand it is fine to grow here in Florida. The nursery just didn't have it yesterday, but it looks a lot like lavender. Salvia. I think I will end the video here, again in my happiest space here at my home, which is the greenhouse. I just needed to get a little peace and quiet because, as I mentioned, Mr. Lyons was traveling this weekend, and so I've been the dog's be-all and all weekend, so I feel like they were stalking me. So to be frank, I'm hiding in here. But thank you for joining me in going along to the Ritz Carlton with me, and for joining me on debunking Cocktail Attire. Just another final note on Cocktail Attire, because I know someone's going to slide into my messages, or I get this asked directly all the time, and they ask about sort of like elevated jeans or an embellished jean or anything, and I'm here to tell you that if it has a rivet, it's a jean, and it has no place in cocktail attire. So I said what I said. But if you have any questions about cocktail attire, or any cocktail or any attire in general, please leave them below in the comments. I would certainly love to address it in another video. Nothing pleases me more than to talk about fashion and gardening, of course. So if you did make it this far, why don't you go ahead and in the comments write cocktail attire. And I know that you've made it, and that you are a true blue friend. It would also please me very much if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this channel so you can see more of this content, more about cocktail attire, etiquette, weddings, gardening, all the rest. And another thing I see that I need to tend to right away is, I think I told you I put my sourdough starters here in the greenhouse to just sort of accelerate it going faster. I only have a window of today to really get this dough ready because I'm off to the races again with work for the week tomorrow, and I wanted to get these proofed and in the refrigerator overnight so I can bake them first thing in the morning before I head out for my weekly early morning Epcot walk. So coming up this week, I know I have a bevy of meetings. Mr. Lyons has some friends coming in from out of town, one from Ashburn, Virginia, and I think someone else who he knows from there but has retired and he's in Amelia Island or anything, but they're golfing this weekend. And Jessica and I have our very first bar mitzvah that we have planned and that we are producing next week. And I am so excited. Bar mitzvahs, admittedly, are not celebrations that are within my wheelhouse, but I felt compelled and truthfully honored to have been asked to do this because the young man we are celebrating, Shane, I did his parents' wedding 15 years ago at the very same venue that we will be at for his bar mitzvah, which is Grand Lakes. They got married on the Ritz Carlton side. His bar mitzvah will be on the JW side. Stay tuned to see what I have cooked up for his bar mitzvah. It is so much fun. It's going to be bittersweet when it's done because I've had a really great time diving deep into this theme. It's been a great deal of fun. So again, thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope it's getting warmer in your part of the world, wherever you may be. And I look forward to seeing you in next week's video.